Hey guys, Ronnie here. Today we're going to talk about a subject that we've never talked about it much here on this channel, and that is the use of veterinarians for exotic animals. Now, we live in a world today where people that have gone to school, bought them a couple of initials to go, either in front or behind their name, they're worshiped like gods, almost as if they cannot be wrong about anything. And today's culture is, if you have an animal, absolutely positively, you've got to take it to a veterinarian when or should anything go wrong with these animals. And I want to talk about that. And I want to talk about that probably because I'm talking to you from a different generation than many of you keepers out there who are what I'm talking about. You believe just because someone has a few initials on their name, they automatically know more about an animal than the many of us in the hobby who've been working with these animals for many, many years. Now, I'm not attacking veterinarians, don't get me wrong, and I'm not saying there's not a need for them. I'm just saying I believe that for the most part, we give them too much credit. We have too much faith in them. We have too little faith in ourselves. Many of the things that we worry about, that we take animals to vets for, we simply could be doing and treating many of these things ourselves. Now, here at our facility, we keep a lot of exotic animals, and we do have a veterinarian that sees our animals for things like export license and so forth. However, we also raise pigs, we raise chickens, we raise things like that. And coming up in the rural southern part of the United States and being raised around farmers and things, most of the veterinarian work we do on livestock, well, farmers simply do it themselves. And I came up that way, and I came up with that mindset that, you know what, I cannot go out here and hire somebody to do something I can do myself. If you go into a place like Tractor Supply or any farm supply centers, you're going to find sections where they have antibiotics, they have dewormers, they have a lot of things like that, to where we can go in there, we can purchase the things we need, we can do a lot of this stuff on our own. And at least in my state, it's legal to do a lot of your own veterinarian care on livestock. Now, when it comes to exotic animals, there's a lot of people out there that have the attitude that an exotic animal should never see a vet. And I don't think that's true either. I think that there are times where you need a vet. I think there are times where, a veterinarian would come in handy. But there's been many of times where I've seen people spend a lot of money unnecessarily by rushing an animal to a vet. Now, that said, if you go on to Facebook or things like that, you read a lot of stuff on there. What you're going to find is that those kids, and I say kids, most of them are fresh out of college. They're still snot-nosing kids when you get to be my age. But, most of them will tell you any little thing. Oh, my dragon has a discoloration tail, or, oh, it's got a cut on its back. Get a vet. You need an exotic vet, too. You know, just any vet. It got to be an exotic vet. And they, it's just, and they make people feel bad that say, well, hey, I don't have enough money this week to go to a vet. Well, people like you are not even on the animal then, and it's nonsense. That's stupidity spewed out of the mouth of stupid people. There's a lot of cases where things happen with our animals. We don't seek a vet. Any other wildlife dealer, animal breeder, or anything else, you're going to learn. It's just like a race car driver. They know how to work on their own cars. You just learn from doing. But for those of you guys who believe that when you hear the word veterinarian, we're to, bow down, so to speak, like a lot of people do, just because they went to school and purchased a few initials. I got a few stories I want to tell you. Real life stories of incidents that I have seen with some of these veterinarians. Now, one of the best ones, I'll go ahead and tell you right off the bat. So a friend of mine out of Atlanta, Georgia, at a Repticon show several years ago, he had this tortoise, and he did not want to keep this tortoise unless it was a male. If it was a male, I think the deal was he wanted it if it was a male. He didn't want if it was a female. So anyway, he told me, he said, look, I know you like sulcata tortoises. I'll give it to you if it ends up being a female. I said, okay. So he takes it to the vet. He spends all this money at an exotic vet. They specialize in exotics, and he spent all this money, and he came back and he showed me this tortoise at Repticon, and he goes, here, I'm going to let you have it because it's a female. And it was already probably in the area of about 10 pounds. So, it had a little size on it. I was able to hold it up and look at it, and I said, this is a male. He said, no, it's not. It's been to a vet. It's a female. And I said, looking at all the features, looking at the tail, looking at the curvature under the tortoise, and I said, buddy, I'm pretty sure that this is going to end up being a male. And he said, no. And this is what he told me. So when I took it to the vet, they did x-rays of this tortoise and found ovaries. Yeah, you can't make this up. They x-rayed through tortoise shell, saw ovaries, and assured my buddy that it was a female. And he paid them for this. And he told me, and I was just like, you know what? I guarantee you this is a male. No, I'm trusting the vet. Because what do I know? I mean, I'm just a reptile breeder. I didn't go to college and get a medical degree. So therefore, ain't no way I should be right and they should be wrong. So he was assured, Ronnie, I like you, but you don't know what you're talking about. I said, 10-4. I brought his tortoise home. And about a year later, I sent him a video of his male tortoise breeding one of my females. So much for that. Had another instance where we had a fella call us one time, and he was in a panic. He called me up on the telephone, and he was like, hey, look, I got your number from a customer of yours. I need help. He said, I got a bearded dragon, and this was in like July here in southern Georgia, and it was hot. But this guy told me, he said, I've got this animal that it won't eat. It crawls underneath the paper in the cage. It won't bask anymore, all this stuff. I've taken it to the vet. The vet has done all this stuff. They've done blood work on the animal. They have ran all kind of fecal exams, all this different stuff. Anyway, guy ended up telling me, he's like, I'm $400 in. He said, I spent $100 on his dragon. I'm already $400 on vet bills. He's like, I don't know what to do. Can you help me? And I said, well, let me ask you a question. And I'm thinking, my first thought was like brumation. I was like, no, it can't be brumation. I mean, it's July. It's hot, man. And it dawned on me. I said, well, I don't know where the guy's calling from. So I said, sir, if you don't mind me asking, where are you? Are you calling from somewhere where it may be a lot cooler than what it is here? And he said, well, I'm up in Canada. Oh, now it's making sense. So I asked the guy, I said, let me ask you a question. Have you ever considered the fact that your bearded dragon may be brumating? And there was silence on the phone for like 10 or 15 seconds to the point I thought, man, I hope I didn't just offend this guy. And all of a sudden he goes, you know what? I feel like such an idiot. I've never even thought about that. I said, your veterinarian that charged you that much money should feel like an idiot, because to charge you that much money, that should have been one of the first. If he knew anything about the animals that he was seeing, that should have been one of the first things he thought about. It's one of the first things I thought about. It ended up being the case. His dragon ended up being fine because it was in fact brumating, and we helped him with that. I didn't charge him $400 though, because I didn't go to school and get some initials in front of my name. Anyway, so these are just a couple cases. Now, there was one other instance that I want to share with you, and I've had several of these over the years. I mean, I have been charged. A lot of the stuff we learned the hard way. I had a buddy one time. We took a dog that had eaten some rat poison accidentally. We took that dog to the vet and had a bill for like $250. And a buddy of mine told me later, he taught me a really cool trick that if you ever have a dog that eats something that's poisonous, you can get that dog to regurgitate in seconds. And it does work. But anyway, could have saved me several $100s if I would have known that trick before I went to a vet. But anyway, there was another situation where we sold a subadult bearded dragon that we knew for a fact was a female. We sold to a customer of ours this year. Well, they ended up getting another dragon, and they were worried about it. So they took the dragon they got from us. They took to a vet along with the other dragon. And the veterinarian told them that I had missexed this dragon, that this dragon was a male. And I remember this particular dragon. I said, no, it's not. That dragon was a female. No, it's a male. And now we have two male dragons. We can't house them together. And that's what they were wanting to do. They were wanting to house two females together. He said, you missexed this. And now we've got a pair. Now we have to go out. We have to buy 2 cages, And they were kind of upset with me. And I said, listen, I'm going to guarantee the sex of the dragon, but we're going to have to get together. I'm going to have to take a look at that dragon again in front of you. I'm going to need to sex it. And luckily, they lived so close enough to me it would have been possible. But they were just adamant that the vet was right. I was wrong. I had sold them the wrong sex, and I had cost them so much more money, and yada, yada, yada. And I told them, I said, listen, if I sold you a subadult dragon, one that I told you was old enough to sex, I guarantee you that I sexed it accurately, that it is what it says. And they were certain that wasn't the case. Anyway, I was driving home, a month ago, and I got a phone call, and it was the same person. And they said, hey, we just want to call you back and apologize. And I was like, and I forgot about it. I said, who is this? And they said, oh, this is so-and-so, I said, oh, okay, all right. And I remembered then. And they said, yeah, we want to apologize. We were wrong. Our vet was wrong. The dragon you sold us just laid a clutch of eggs. So there's that. So I'm just saying, in spite of so many of these young people on the Facebook groups and all that, when you say, hey, my dragon hadn't pooped in, 6 hours, they're like, oh, you need to go see an exotic vet. Sometimes chill out, relax, learn to do some things for yourself, or you're going to go broke. Now, again, we're not knocking vets. There is a time and a place where, a veterinarian would be useful. If you had a dragon that was egg bound and hadn't passed those eggs in 4 or 5 days, and certainly it's worth going and having a vet look at that animal. But I mean, a lot of the little silly things that people take animals to a vet for. Oh, he's got some shed skin stuck on his tail. I need to go see a vet. That kind of stuff. You're going to waste a lot of money. You're going to waste a lot of money. And vets are expensive, Now, again, like I said, if you come home and there's blood in your dragon's stool all of a sudden and you don't know what's caused it, you don't know what's been there, and certainly there's a place to take a stool sample to a vet, have it looked at, have the dragon seen, something like that. But I mean, man, I've seen people take animals to vets for just silly things. Many of them learn some basic first aid. If you're a parent, you have children, you ought to know this stuff anyway. Some basic first aid. Learn about some good nutritional things for dragons. I can tell you this from my experience here at our facility. What I've seen over the years is most health problems with dragons that I have seen are strictly from dehydration. Now, here in the South, we don't recommend keeping a water bowl in our dragon's cage. Like you see this little guy right here. Doesn't have a water bowl. Does have a food dish because, we like to give them a dish to eat out of. We don't use water bowls, but you got to make sure your dragons stay hydrated. You've got to make sure that they are getting sufficient amounts of moisture. If you'll do that, you'll eliminate most of the problems associated with bearded dragons, things like impaction and stuff like that. Now, I want to tell you guys one last story while I'm on here. This was kind of cool. One last story that has to do with a veterinarian. So years ago, when my two daughters, the two that work with me on this channel, There's Anna, who's usually on here with me. There's Aubrey, who does our behind the scenes. She does our editing and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, those two girls, when they were little, they had a young lady used to come over to our place and would babysit them during the daytime, and while my wife and I worked. And she was a friend of ours. Anyway, long story short, my girls grew up. They're both adults now. We got a phone call from this girl that used to babysit them. She had moved away. She had moved even out of our hometown. She lives up North Georgia somewhere. She called my wife one day out of the blue, and she works for a veterinarian's office. And they had a bearded dragon that came into that office, and the patient was in the room, and the vet left, went into her office, sat down, and was watching one of our YouTube videos to get some information about these bearded dragons. And the girl walked up behind her, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, I know those people." And the veterinarian turned and looked at her. She goes, "Yeah, right." And she goes, "No, I do. I know them. I used to babysit his kids." And she couldn't believe it. She was like, "No. Are you serious?" And the girl goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Hang on, I'll get in contact with him and show it." So anyway, it was kind of funny. It was good we got to speak to someone we hadn't talked to in a while. But the thing about it that made it even more funny is the fact that, here's this lady. She takes this dragon to a vet because she's like, the vet don't know what to do because they're an exotic vet. And she goes in the back room, pulls up one of our videos to see if she can figure out what's going on. And we didn't get none of that bill. They didn't give us a dime. Anyway, I thought that was kind of funny. So, again, I'm not making fun of vets. Well, maybe in that case a little bit. But those of you vets who do that, you know what? Y'all at least ought to send me a Christmas card. Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. Y'all have a great rest of your week, man. We'll see you guys here the next time. Peace.